So, for folks who don't know me, first of all, good morning in the APAC region, and for folks who are joining from somewhere else in Europe or other places in the world, happy day. My name is Manan. I'm head of products for Alkira, and I'm going to talk about the future of multi-cloud networking. I think we had a great panel discussion with all of the panelists having a very candid discussion. So I'm going to add more details on that, and I'm going to go through my slides. So a little bit of history around about Alkira. Alkira is a startup based in Silicon Valley, and we started the company in May of 2018. So far, we have raised $76 million in funding from some of the top venture capital firms, Sequoia Capital, Kleiner Perkins, Google Ventures, and a corporate investor in Koch Disruptive Technologies. We have been working with customers since 2019, even before we launched the company, and customers have been trying out our service and giving us a lot of positive feedback around what we call network cloud. And we launched the company and the product on April 15, 2020, and I'm very pleased to say that we have some of the largest Fortune 50 customers as our customers in production. And I'll talk about what network cloud means and how it can help. So before I talk about what Alkira provides, let me set some background on what we see and what we hear when we talk to the enterprises. And I think you already heard a lot from the panelists. Essentially, what is happening is, as you can see here, if I want to open an AWS or Azure or a Google or any cloud account and deploy my first app, it probably takes me a handful of minutes, probably 15 minutes, and I can have my first app running. It has all of the characteristics that you would imagine with the cloud. Time to service, agility, on-demand nature. I can dynamically scale up and scale down, and I only pay for what I consume. Whereas if you look at the networking side, you'll see it's almost like an anti-pattern for cloud. A lot of customers go different routes. Some folks go in a co-location facility, and it is very time consuming to set everything up. It's very CapEx intensive. So there is a true need for disrupting the network, and I think the theme of the day is consuming it as a service. And that's when we decided to partner with CBC. Alkira and CBC together can bring to you a network as a service, a true network as a service with all of the capabilities that you would imagine from a cloud. So what is network cloud? So we talked about Alkira is delivering network cloud. So at the highest level, I call network cloud as a unified network infrastructure, which is delivered as a service. There are typically three major components to what we call network cloud. The first one is on-demand, hybrid, and multi-cloud connectivity. I mean, we live in a world where there are data centers. They're not going away anytime soon. There are branches, campuses, and remote users. I may be in a coffee shop and I may need to access some of the most critical resources. How do I get in? How do I access them? What policies and permissions do I need to get there? That is what we call on-demand, hybrid, and multi-cloud network connectivity. And as enterprises go to this multi-cloud journey, how do we make it easy and abstracted? I think Shui made a great point that one of the big challenges that is in the industry today is a lack of skill set. If I go and talk to an average enterprise and ask them how many people really know about two clouds from networking and security, it is very few people in the enterprise. So that's what the first point around networking and multi-cloud connectivity. The second is network services. As more and more workloads go into the cloud, do I need to deploy my network services only in my data center, or do I need to deploy in the cloud? Do I need to deploy in one cloud or a second cloud or a third cloud? Can I deploy it in a cloud agnostic manner? And that is where Alkira comes in with this network cloud solution, where you have integrated network services like firewalls, load balancers, and whatever you need. And you can dynamically insert them at any time in any traffic path to inspect the traffic. And the third piece, which is extremely important as well, is visibility and governance. You need to have deep insight into the network, whether it's on the on-prem side, whether it's in the WAN, whether it's in the cloud, and have the controls and governance around it so that you can easily control what you need to do and control how the traffic flows through your network. So Alkira delivers all of this through a service called Cloud Services Exchange. The Cloud Services Exchange has two main components. One is what you see on the top right of the slide. It is called the Alkira CSX portal. This comes in three form factors: the intuitive user interface, APIs, and SDKs. For example, if you are a cloud admin wanting to deploy your application using Terraform, then we provide a Terraform provider so that you can integrate your app deployment and networking into one set of automation. So it's again APIs, SDKs, and an intuitive user interface. The second piece is what we call Cloud Exchange Point, and that is the 6 hexagons that you see in the middle of the slide. Each hexagon is called the Cloud Exchange Point. It's a purpose-built network stack which provides you connectivity, visibility, and network services insertion. So in each of the Cloud Exchange Point, you can connect your branches, campuses, data center, SD-WAN, co-location facilities, everything into your nearest Cloud Exchange Point. So if I'm sitting in China, I will connect to a Cloud Exchange Point somewhere close by. If I'm sitting in US, I'll connect to a Cloud Exchange Point in US, which is near to my location. Same concept with cloud workloads, right? If I'm in AWS, Azure, Google, Ali Cloud, Tencent Cloud, Oracle, what have you, I will connect to the nearest Cloud Exchange Point. And that is very easy in a point-and-click intuitive design canvas that we deliver to the customers. And then you attach the network services and decide through an intuitive policy that kind of controls how the traffic flows through that fabric. And all of these Cloud Exchange Points form a network backbone, which is also offered as a service. And the cloud backbone as a service is a low latency, high throughput backbone that you can leverage across the globe in a multi-segment, multi-region model. So from an end user perspective, it is extremely simple. We abstracted all of the complexity and brought in dramatic simplicity for the enterprise. As an enterprise, you would go to either a CBC, go through CBC, or come directly through a Alkira portal with the help of CBC organization and register for the service. Once you register for the service, you have a design canvas on which you can point and click and draw out your network and network services. And once you design the network and network services, you will click on a provision button, and in less than 1 hour, you get your multi-segment, multi-region, multi-cloud, multiple on-prem technology-based network that is up and running. So something that you would take 6 to 18 months to deliver, now you can deliver it in less than 1 hour to your businesses. That's the level of simplicity that Alkira delivers to its customers. So I'll walk you through a quick customer journey, and we have had multiple customers that have gone through this journey. I'll just pick one example of what we have seen typically customers do. So typically when we talk to customers, we try to understand what their design requirements were. And in this particular case, they wanted a high throughput public cloud access or public cloud connectivity. They wanted to have secure connectivity as well because it's going through a public internet. They wanted a secure connectivity. So they were very focused on secure multi-cloud networks. They had segmentation in the WAN. And so they wanted to continue to have segmentation for different lines of businesses within the organization in the cloud. They, of course, were a global organization. So they wanted a improved SaaS experience. So they, as Amir was mentioning, they wanted the ability to regionalize hub points and through that have a secure internet experience and have improved SaaS performance. And as anyone who's built the network for many, many years, high availability and redundancy are always important. So that was a key component of the requirement. Of course, they wanted easy visibility and full control. And they wanted to make sure the network remains simple and doesn't overcomplicate as they go to this multi-cloud model. So with all of these requirements, this is how the network looked like before they adopted Alkira. They had multiple data centers across the globe, and then they started building these co-location facilities. In each of these co-location facilities, first of all, you need to get the facility, you need to get a cage. Inside of that, you need to get a rack, and then you would buy switches, routers, firewalls, security equipment, monitoring tools, and build it out. So before you even get your first dollar of return on investment, you would have spent a few $1 million. And that was something that they were not willing to continue doing that as they grew their network and as they go to multiple clouds. It was very reliant on hardware. It was always over provisioned because they wouldn't know what their peak demands would be, and they couldn't easily scale up and scale down. It literally took them months and months to do this and millions of dollars before they got any return. So with Alkira, what they did is they essentially decided to deploy the service in 3 locations within the US to begin with, and then they wanted to expand to other regions. So they picked something in US East, US Central, and US West. And this is what you see, the hexagons in the middle. And they would carry the segmentation and from on-prem to WAN to cloud. And then they use multiple different technologies to come into Alkira. So they had a regionalized SD-WAN deployment through which they would connect all of their branches with multiple segments into the CXP on the US West. And then they had branches coming in, including some partners coming into using the standards-based IPsec technology into the CXP Central. And the data centers were more on the East Coast. So they would essentially come in through the data center through a direct connect into the CXP East. And also they had some branches that were on MPLS only. So those MPLS only branches would connect to data centers, and through data centers would come into the cloud exchange point. And all of these cloud exchange points are, of course, as I mentioned, managed by the CSX portal that controls the entire experience. On the cloud side, they had AWS, Azure, and Google, and they had different workloads. They believed in democratizing the developer community, and they would really allow their developers to deploy applications in any cloud of their choice. And so as a network team, it becomes very important to facilitate that and allow the developers to deploy the application and connect them as and when it's needed, for however long it's needed. And they would only pay for how much ever they consume and for however long they consume. So that was very important to them. So with this solution, they essentially were able to get full visibility, full control, and they can decide which application goes into which segment and how it will get controlled. And they would also be able to control which user traffic would talk to which other parts of the network, whether it's on the application side or on the branch side or on the data center side, all through a single CSX portal. So I would summarize the Alkira journey by saying that going forward, if I can consume Salesforce, Workday, and a variety of SaaS applications for my other parts of the business, enterprises are asking why can't they consume network as a service? So we see more and more customers asking for networks and broader networking as well as network services and cloud networks to be consumed as a service. And Alkira Network Cloud essentially provides you that unified infrastructure as a service. Again, three key components are on-demand, hybrid, and multi-cloud networks, integrated network and security services, and deep visibility and governance. And just a few highlights here. Gartner recently named Alkira as a cool vendor in 2020. And there are a couple of other awards by CRN on emerging vendors and the 10 hottest startups of 2020. And Alkira also received the IDC Innovator. We would really, really thank you for attending today's session. And thanks to CBC for inviting Alkira for this session. Now I will hand it back to Andy.